10 cars from the 1990s that are cooler than you remember. The 1990s was kind of a grungy slacker decade, so a lot of people forget that it was also the re-emergence of automotive performance. The gas crisis of the 1970s and federal emissions mandates robbed cars of their power, and while it started to make a comeback in the 1980s, the final 10 years of the 20th century is when real horsepower returned. It also marked the beginning of slick styling, which would dominate in the 2000s and beyond. In many ways, the 90s were a transitional phase in the auto industry and a somewhat forgotten, or at the very least, overlooked era. Everybody remembers the Acura NSX, the Dodge Viper and the Lamborghini Diablo, as well as how intensely badass they were. But some killer rides may have slipped our collective memory. 80s nostalgia is hot right now, which means the 90s are next up. So here are some of the great cars of the decade that are cooler than most folks remember. 10. 1999 Mitsubishi Eclipse. Mitsubishi Motors' relationship with the Chrysler Corporation definitely produced some cool cars that flew under the radar, like the Starion Conquest. Another tragically underrated ride was the Eclipse, which was also sold as the Eagle Talon and Plymouth Laser. The second gen, produced from 1995 to 1999, was a sporty compact that quickly became a street racing and drifting favorite. Engine: 2.0-liter turbo i4. Horsepower: 210 HP. Torque: 220 pound-feet. Transmission: 5-speed manual. 0 to 60 time: 6.3 seconds. Quarter mile: 14.8 seconds. Top speed: 154 miles per hour. The turbocharged version of the standard 2.0-liter inline-4 engine gave the Eclipse plenty of zip, and aftermarket upgrades made it a street legend. Brian O'Connor, Paul Walker's character from the Fast and Furious franchise, drove a souped-up 90s Eclipse in the first film that gave Dominic Toretto a run for his money. 9. 1999 Plymouth Prowler. The Prowler was a colossal flop and probably helped drive the final nail in the coffin for Plymouth as a brand. It was also maligned as being seriously underpowered, but the fact is, the retro roadster actually had some decent pep. It was based on a design by legendary customizer Chip Foose, which gives it instant credibility, and stands as the only modern-era regular production open-wheel car from a major manufacturer. Power and performance. Engine: 3.5-liter V6. Horsepower: 253 HP. Torque: 255 pound-feet. Transmission: 4-speed automatic. 0 to 60 time: 5.8 seconds. Quarter mile: 14.2 seconds. Top speed: 135 miles per hour. If ever there was an undeniably cool ride that didn't get enough love in its day, this is it. Granted, a 2-seat hot rod that sits about 3 inches off the ground isn't for everyone, but this was the most radically cool thing to ever roll out of an American factory. Only 11,702 Prowlers were ever built, and around 3,000 of them were sold as Chrysler, after Plymouth ceased to exist in 2001. 8. 1991 Nissan 300ZX Twin Turbo. The Nissan 300ZX was the natural progression of the legendary Z cars that began with the Datsun 240Z. Known as the Fairlady in Japan, the Z32 got a radical redesign with rounder edges and a hell of a lot more power. There was almost nothing on the road in the 90s that could beat the 300 horsepower of the 300ZX Twin Turbo in a race or a beauty contest. Power and performance. Engine: 3.0-liter twin-turbo V6. Horsepower: 300 HP. Torque: 283 pound-feet. Transmission: 5-speed manual. 0 to 60 time: 5.0 seconds. Quarter mile: 13.7 seconds. Top speed: 153 miles per hour. Making the 300ZX Twin Turbo that much cooler was the adjustable 2-mode suspension and, super hickas, high-capacity actively controlled steering, 4-wheel steering system. It was also one of the first production cars designed on a supercomputer using CAD software. But the real appeal was how that powerful sports car peeled out. 7. 1993 Pontiac Firebird SLP Firehawk. A lot of people probably forgot that Pontiac was still making the Firebird in the 1990s, and that's because they lacked the cool factor of the 60s and 70s versions. The fourth-generation Firebirds, introduced for the 1993 model year, came standard with a 160 horsepower V6. That was eventually up to a 200 horsepower V6. Either way, that's not the kind of performance fans had come to expect from a screaming chicken. Power and performance. Engine: 5.7-liter V8. Horsepower: 350 HP. Torque: 390 pound-feet. Transmission: 6-speed manual. 0 to 60 time: 4.6 seconds. Quarter mile: 13.2 seconds. Top speed: 160 miles per hour. Then, Pontiac got the brilliant idea to boost the car a bit with the Firehawk performance trim. The cars were upgraded by SLP engineering and sold through Pontiac dealerships. Instead of the weak V6 engines, the Firehawks had 5.7-liter V8s that jammed 350 horsepower and were paired with the Corvette ZR1's 6-speed manual transmission. The Firehawks were on the expensive side, so not a lot of people bought them, making them extremely rare. 6. 1997 Ford Taurus Show. The Ford Taurus Show is kind of the anti-Plymouth Prowler, in that it doesn't look very cool, but packs some serious power. The Taurus began life as an economy midsize 4-door family car, until someone at Ford got the wild idea to stuff a bunch of ponies under the hood, and the Show, super high output, was born. Originally equipped with a 220 horsepower V6, the trim was upgraded to 235 horsepower V8 in the third generation. Power and performance. Engine: 3.4-liter V8. Horsepower: 235 HP. Torque: 240 pound-feet. Transmission: 4-speed automatic. 0 to 60 time: 7.5 seconds. Quarter mile: 15.5 seconds. Top speed: 143 miles per hour. In reality, the third-gen design was even more unassuming than previous models, making the juxtaposition of style and performance even more contrasted, while creating the ultimate sleeper car. The 1997 Taurus Show didn't just blow doors off, it blew windshield wipers off too. Ford had to install deflector shields on the driver's side to keep the wiper blades from coming off at high speeds. 5. Chevrolet Corvette ZR1. Nobody has ever forgotten how cool a Chevrolet Corvette is, but the C4 generation, from 1984 to 1996, is the least regarded in the American sports car's illustrious history. Things got off to a bad start when Chevy was unable to launch the generation on time and had to skip a year with no vet production, and then the understated design and mediocre power of the C4 was not a fan favorite. Power and performance. Engine: 5.7-liter V8. Horsepower: 405 HP. Torque: 385 pound-feet. Transmission: 6-speed manual. 0 to 60 time: 4.9 seconds. Quarter mile: 13.4 seconds. Top speed: 179 miles per hour. For the first 6 years of the C4 Corvette, the only engine offered was a 250 horsepower V-8, which was clearly not enough for the iconic ride. Then, in 1990, Chevy came out with the ZR1 performance package with an upgraded 375 horsepower LT5 version of the 5.7-liter V8. Suddenly, the sluggish C4 was a top performer again, and all was right with the universe, or at least the part of time and space occupied by kick-ass Corvettes. 4. 1993 Toyota Supra. The original Toyota Supra, which was basically a slightly longer Celica, wasn't the coolest sports car ever, but with each generation it got slicker and more powerful. By the A80 Gen in 1993, Toyota had dedicated the model to complete performance, with amazing styling and a terrifying twin-turbo engine option. This was a 90s Japanese road rocket that was built to smoke any and all American muscle, which it did quite handily. Power and performance. Engine: 3.0-liter twin-turbo V6. Horsepower: 321 HP. Torque: 315 pound-feet. Transmission: 5-speed manual. 0 to 60 time, 4.6 seconds. Quarter mile, 13.1 seconds. Top speed, 160 miles per hour. The genius of the Supra twin-turbo setup was that the turbos were sequential instead of parallel, which all but eliminated lag. Not only did it have top-end speed, it was quick off the line, with acceleration that could rival a 426th Street Hemi. In addition to the powerful turbocharged V6, Toyota pulled weight off of the vehicle with aluminum parts and a plastic gas tank, to make sure this car could fly. With the Targa top off, there weren't many 90s rides as cool or fast as the Supra. 3. 1993 Ford Mustang SVT Cobra. The Ford Mustang SVT Cobra is generally associated with the fourth-generation pony car, but the special performance package actually began in 1993, with the Fox body, Stangs. Next to the 70s-era Pinto-esque Mustang II, the Gen 4 cars of the 90s and 00 are some of the most forgettable, but the Fox bodies were the quintessentially cool rides from the 80s, and the SVT Cobra sent them off in style during the slacker decade. Power and performance. Engine, 5.0-liter V8. Horsepower, 235 HP. Torque, 280 pound-feet. Transmission, 5-speed manual. 0 to 60 time, 5.6 seconds. Quarter mile, 14.3 seconds. Top speed, 140 miles per hour. Not only did the SVT Cobra have a more powerful version of the classic Fox body 5.0-liter V-8, they were equipped with upgraded brakes and suspension, as well as 17-inch wheels. There was also an SVT Cobra R, with even more performance upgrades. Both 93 Mustangs are extremely rare, with only 4,993 SVT Cobras and 107 rupees ever built, so they are also great collectibles from the last year of the Fox body. 2. 1994 Mazda RX-7. Along with the Z cars, the RX-7 was an iconic Japanese import that has thrilled American drivers since the 1970s. Also, like its Nissan counterparts, the Mazda sports car reached its pinnacle of style and performance in the 1990s. The third-generation FDRX-7, introduced in 1993, was radically redesigned with a smoother body and equipped with a higher output version of its signature Wankel rotary engine. Power and performance. Engine, 1,308 cc twin-turbo twin-rotor. Horsepower, 255 HP. Torque, 217 pound-feet. Transmission, 5-speed manual. 0 to 60 time, 5.2 seconds. Quarter mile, 13.4 seconds. Top speed, 161 miles per hour. The twin-turbocharged twin-rotor engine, standard in all North American versions, was paired with a 5-speed manual transmission, and combined to make it the fastest RX-7 ever built. Everything from the suspension to the brakes was upgraded to maximize performance and comfort, but the interior also got a luxury boost with leather seats as well as a premium sound system. As amazing as the FDRX-7s were, they got mighty expensive, and Mazda pulled them from the US market in 1995. 1. 1992 Dodge Stealth RT. With bold, sporty looks, the high-performance Dodge Stealth wasn't a sleeper car, but it was tragically slept on. As one of the greatest rides of the 90s, the Dodge-Mitsubishi collaboration was unappreciated at the time and flew under the radar, but then again, they did name it the Stealth. With a 300-horsepower twin-turbo option and all-wheel drive, as well as four-wheel steering, this was one of the quickest, best-handling rides of the decade. Power and performance. Engine, 3.0-liter twin-turbo V6. Horsepower, 300 HP. Torque, 307 pound-feet. Transmission, 5-speed manual. 0 to 60 time, 5.2 seconds. Quarter mile, 14.0 seconds. Top speed, 155 miles per hour. Dodge designed the car's body, while Mitsubishi handled the mechanics, which combined for a seriously cool, high-powered sports car. Mitsubishi sold the vehicle as the 3000 GT, while obviously Dodge marketed it as the Stealth. For whatever reason, both were sold in the US market at the same time, which may have confused consumers. One thing that's easy to figure out is that the Dodge Stealth is a hidden gem from the 1990s that is 10 times cooler than anyone remembers.